Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into the absolute strategic brilliance of Chhatrapati Shivaji, the visionary founder of the Maratha Empire. We're going to look at exactly how one leader managed to carve an independent, sovereign state out of a highly volatile 17th century India. And keep in mind, he did this while navigating the crushing, overwhelming threats of the Mughal Empire and the Deccan Sultanates. It's a fascinating story, and we'll be looking closely at the incredible innovations he brought to warfare, intelligence, and statecraft. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. Section 1. Introduction and Rise. 2. Unconventional warfare. 3. The Shadow Network. 4. Ruling the coastal waves. 5. From feudalism to bureaucracy. And finally, 6. An enduring visionary legacy. We'll trace his rise, analyze his military and naval genius, uncover his network of spies, and decode the revolutionary bureaucratic system that ensured his empire would last. Let's get right into it. Section 1. Introduction and Rise. Born in 1630 at Shivneri Fort, Chhatrapati Shivaji really didn't wait long to make his mark. I mean, think about the sheer audacity here. By 1645, when he was just 16 years old, he captured his first major stronghold, Tornafort. 16. This maps a super deliberate journey from a bold young rebel claiming local strongholds all the way to a sovereign monarch, ultimately crowned Chhatrapati at Raigad in 1674. It's this rapid, almost unstoppable progression of power that fundamentally altered the political landscape of Western India before his death in 1680. He wasn't just playing the regional Game of Thrones, he was completely rewriting the rules. Section 2. Unconventional warfare. Let's shift to his terrestrial military strategy and see how he systematically dismantled massive, traditional armies. So traditional 17th century warfare usually meant massive, slow-moving armies crashing into each other in wide-open fields. But Chhatrapati Shivaji? He completely flipped the script with Ganimi Kawa. Basically, guerrilla warfare. He turned the geographical challenges of the Sahyadri Mountains, the dense forests, the really steep ravines, into his ultimate asymmetrical advantage. By leveraging the rugged terrain of the Deccan, his forces used hit-and-run tactics, night raids, and these sudden, devastating ambushes. This allowed a much smaller, highly mobile force to just neutralize the superior numbers, the heavy artillery, and the rigid formations of his sprawling imperial enemies. It was an absolute game changer. Now, while guerrilla tactics might sound a bit, chaotic on the surface, the reality was anything but. His infantry had an incredibly strict and organized chain of command. It was a highly disciplined military machine. Starting right from the ground up, a Nayak leads a squad of 10 foot soldiers. Then 5 Nayaks report to a Havildar, 3 Havildars to a Jumladar, and so on, all the way up the ladder to the Sarnabad, the commander-in-chief. This interlocking hierarchy ensured that even during dispersed, rapid hit-and-run operations, communication and discipline were absolute ironclad. Nobody was just acting on their own. Everyone was part of a larger strategic organism. And when it came to his hill forts, or killas, which were literally the backbone of his defensive strategy, he engineered a brilliant checks and balances system. Historically, handing control of a fort to a single powerful warlord almost always leads to rebellion or corruption. So he just divided the power. A Havildar handled military command, a Sabnis managed the intricate accounts, and a Karkanis controlled the vital food and weapons supplies. And here's the genius part. By deliberately choosing these 3 officials from completely different social backgrounds, he virtually eliminated the risk of a coordinated conspiracy. It was this self-regulating cellular entity that made the state incredibly resilient from the inside out. Section 3. The Shadow Network. So how exactly do you outsmart a massive, deeply entrenched empire? It's a great question, right? Well, the answer lies in one of the most sophisticated espionage apparatuses of the entire 17th century. Because the truth is, you simply can't launch successful precision ambushes without knowing exactly where your enemy is, what they're doing right now, and what they plan to do tomorrow. Enter Bahirji Naik, the chief intelligence officer. He was literally the eyes and ears of the state, managing this vast, invisible network of merchants, priests, and mendicants to gather actionable intelligence. Bahirji was a master spy in every sense of the word. Because he was fluent in Persian, Marathi, and Hindi, and had this chameleon-like understanding of cultural nuances, he and his network could infiltrate Mughal administrative circles and military camps completely undetected. The intelligence they gathered wasn't just for, record-keeping. It directly shaped Maratha military strategy, giving them the ultimate element of surprise. And that element of surprise leads us directly to a real micro-story of his espionage at work, the Lal Mahal infiltration. Picture this. It's 1663. The Mughal general Shaista Khan is heavily guarded inside the city of Pune. But thanks to Bahirji's meticulous mapping of the enemy camp's routines and blind spots, Chhatrapati Shivaji and a small elite strike force slip right through the perimeter under the cover of absolute darkness. It's basically a high-stakes heist. They struck suddenly, wounding the general, created total chaos in the enemy camp, and then just vanished into the night. When the Mughal cavalry tried to pursue, they were drawn into a wild decoy chase towards Khatraj. The whole sequence is just a masterclass in asymmetrical warfare, powered entirely by flawless intelligence. Section 4. Ruling the coastal waves. Now, let's pivot from the rugged mountains to the sea. Chhatrapati Shivaji was a true pioneer of the Indian Navy. He saw the immense strategic importance of naval supremacy decades before other regional powers, and he used it to directly challenge European colonizers and the cities. But he didn't just build a few ships, he built an entire maritime ecosystem. He established massive dockyards at Kalyan and Bhiwandi. He constructed formidable island seaforts like Sindhudurg and Vijaydurg to serve as impenetrable forward operating bases. He utilized a green water fleet of incredibly fast, maneuverable ships called galavats and gravs, perfect for shallow coastal waters. He even went so far as to implement a state-controlled passport system, fiercely protecting indigenous maritime trade. Section 5. From feudalism to bureaucracy. Beyond the battlefield, his administrative reforms transformed medieval patrimonialism into early modern statehood. Let's compare his system to the older feudal Mughal system. In the old system, military officers got these massive hereditary land grants called jagirs. It turned them into powerful local warlords with fragmented loyalties, and they could easily fudge the reporting of their land's value. Chhatrapati Shivaji completely abolished that archaic practice. Instead, he paid his soldiers in direct cash salaries, known as nagadi. He ensured rules were strictly merit-based, not passed down by blood. And to stop tax collectors from exploiting farmers, he introduced the kafi, a standardized measuring rod for land, so revenue collection was precise and inherently fair. He deliberately eliminated local power centers that could ever threaten the sovereign state. At the heart of his executive engine was the Ashtapradhan Mandal, or the Council of Eight. He recognized that running a rapidly expanding state required highly specialized administration. So he appointed dedicated, expert roles. You had the Peshwa handling general administration, the Amatya serving as a rigorous financial auditor to prevent any leakage of state funds, and the Sumant navigating complex foreign policy. It was a highly functional, strictly non-hereditary cabinet, designed from the ground up to prioritize the long-term welfare of the state well above any individual ambition. And what happened when famine or drought struck? The state stepped in directly with the Tagai loan system. By providing farmers with direct, low-interest or even interest-free loans to buy essential seeds and cattle, the administration became an active, supportive partner in their development. This is a brilliant economic strategy because it completely bypassed the traditional warlord class. It ensured the peasantry was bound to the state through genuine economic support and mutual survival rather than through fear and coercion. For the 17th century, this was an incredibly progressive safety net that cemented deep, unwavering loyalty among the agrarian communities. Section 6. An enduring visionary legacy. Finally, let's look at the overarching fiscal and social legacy of Hindavi Swarajya. Let's bring this all together. These progressive reforms established a resilient foundation grounded in the welfare of all subjects and the absolute rule of law. And it wasn't just a disconnected list of policies, it was a cohesive ecosystem. Economically, collecting chath, which was a fourth of revenue for military protection, and the Sardashmukhi tax provided the massive capital needed to sustain a standing army. That army, in turn, secured the realms so the Rayatwari system could thrive, allowing the state to deal directly with the farmer and remove exploitative middlemen. Crucially, his strict codes of conduct demanded absolute religious tolerance, inclusive hiring practices. He actively employed Muslims in his army and navy, and the uncompromising protection of non-combatants, women, and children during campaigns. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought. How can Chhatrapati Shivaji's principles of resilient, decentralized governance be applied to modern leadership today? When we look at his structural checks and balances, his emphasis on actionable intelligence, and his unwavering focus on merit over heredity, we aren't just looking at history, we're looking at a timeless blueprint for effective, sustainable governance. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning how the architectures of the past can continually inform our future.